Good morning, America. It is Monday morning, and it is the 9th of December, 2024, and the markets will open in approximately 3 minutes. This will be my last stream for the year, and I'll talk about that in greater detail a little bit later on. For now, I'm just waiting for the US markets to open. So this is the state of affair in the Nasdaq. Basically sat at an all-time high. A big push up on Friday, and then a lot of overlap bars back and forth. And the Dow was down. So 20 odd seconds to go. Markets are open. As you can see, I had a swing order up here. Not something that for public consumption. It's just me playing what I think is going to be a major turning point. We'll see. It's kind of funny, isn't it? When you have an order at 35 and the market goes 30. Perhaps while I'm waiting for a signal, I could talk you through what this cycle turn is really all about. So it starts about 25 years ago when a very young analyst, that's me, is studying the charts and trying to figure out why is Dow making a turn here? Why is it making a turn here? Why is it making a turn here? And I don't know why, but I began to measure the length in time between major highs and lows, and then I discovered that there was 72 weeks between this low and this high. And when I was doing this, it was 2001. But there was also 72 weeks from this high to this high. And so, I thought, I can't remember if there was something here as well. Let me just double check. No, there wasn't. And so I thought, okay, that's probably just a coincidence. And the market took 72 weeks, which is 500 calendar days from this low up to this high. And then there was a 500 calendar days, or 72 weeks from this high over to this high. And I thought, okay, let's keep an eye on the market on the 10th of October 2002. And lo and behold, there were also 72 weeks. So if I just put this in here so it's clear for everyone, 72 weeks, 72 weeks, and 72 weeks. And so I traded this low, and I remember clearly trading it because it was quite nerve-wracking because the market was really weak. This is a weekly chart. The market was really weak. Weak as in W-E-A-K, weak. And this is a weekly chart, W-E-E-K, Lee. But pretty much nailed this low. I still remember it very quick, very vividly. Where was I? Where was I trading it, and what was I trading? Anyway, so I was a frequent guest in some of these financial news outlets. So I just thought, you know what? I'm going to go on TV and I'm going to predict. I didn't say it, but I'm going to predict that in 72 weeks from now, the market's going to make a turn. And so about here in January or maybe December, I said, I think the market is going to turn on the 17th of February 2004. And that's a bit of a ballsy call to make. But when it then turned out to be the turning point, you know, what's the saying? You just need to make one of those calls in your life and you are forever a guru. Because I didn't tell anybody at the time why I thought that it was going to be 72 weeks. I didn't even say it was going to be 72 weeks. Anyway, it's not that every turn was ever going to materialize. For example, I could take this turn here in 2005 and I can count back 72 weeks and you can see that didn't materialize into anything. And if I'm quite certain that if I counted forward 72 weeks from here, there, well, that was actually a bit of a turn. But anyway, there was also some calls along the way where the market didn't do as I was expecting. And then came the two really big calls. First, there was a turn here in late 2007 because it was 72 weeks from this mid-2006 high. And it was actually not 72 weeks, it was 73 or maybe even 74. So I'll just put here 72 weeks. I always said 72 weeks plus minus 1. But perhaps the biggest call I ever made was the financial crisis bear market low, which was, you guessed it. And you can see the counter up here. If I double click on the top and then I drag the cursor, you'll see it says 72. Actually, it does say 73, but there you go. So now you sort of have the history behind it. There was also many calls, I would say, just being really honest about it, that didn't pan out so well. And this may well also be one of them. But I think it's worth showing, nevertheless. So you remember the top in 2020, the COVID top? Well, guess what? It was 72 weeks from this high here. And I made a lot of money from that call. And so now, going over to where we are now, we have a somewhat similar situation. We have the mid-2023 high, and if I count forward, actually maybe should pick the highest. Did I make a calculation error? Maybe it is actually not this week, which suggests that it's not actually until next week. I think it's because eSignal doesn't update yet. So it's this week here. So anyway, that's the reason why I am making this call and saying, well, you know, this could very well be a turn. And that's why I am sort of gradually phasing in to short positions because I think it's a high. So I thought I'd just show you that, as I will be absent from this channel for a while. So I had a sell short order here at 35. I don't remember why I picked. I think it was this this area here. There you go. I don't want to sound like a defeatist, but my trading certainly hasn't been what I would expect of myself, which is another reason why I think it's a good time to just take a step back. But perhaps it would be nice, while we're waiting, just to talk a little bit about what I had envisioned 2025 to be about. I prepared a little presentation for you. So the playlist for me for 2025 will be that I only want to stream 4 days a week. So that actually shouldn't say 4 times, but 4 days. There you go. So I want to have a day off streaming every week. I think that's be better for me. But it'll still be 8 streams a week. But in those streams, there'll be more focus on education, still with live trading, but spend more time on explaining why I am doing what I'm doing. And I don't know why that was not part of it. So, to give you an example of, and I'll just use a little bit of humor here. I did this trick in a talk and I said, can you see the 16 circles? And most people can't see the circles, but if you stare long enough at this image, you'll see the circles. It leads me to this statement that I have uttered many times, that we see what we have trained our eyes to see. And I think that's the key for me, because I think trading is a representation of who you are. And I haven't enjoyed trading so much in the last 6 months, and I think that's reflected in my results. It's almost as if the money really didn't matter to me as much anymore as it had. And it felt as if I was trying to trade bigger and bigger size in order to gain the same dopamine rush, which is, I'm not proud of it, but I'm honest about it. Because if you can't be honest with yourself, then you are blocking an opportunity to grow. And so what I intend to do in December, and also for the rest of the year, and especially when I'm not streaming, is to do deep statistical analysis. I think there are stock indices that I have overlooked that offers ample of opportunity for trading profits, such as the Nikkei, the Australian ASX, also the Nifty, the Indian Nifty, but also Eurostoxx and the IBEX, which frequently have much cleaner trends than some of the ones I'm used to trading, which is the DAX and the FTSE. And I want to spend more time learning those indices and trading them, preferably with you. But also draw your attention and knowledge to some of the things that I think makes for a good trader. So I'll give you an example here. This is not my technique, but I think it's an interesting technique. It was created by a gentleman called Rob Falk on a bulletin board called Avid Trader. He called himself Mebob. Some would call him a real gentleman of trading. I never actually spoke to him myself, but I benefited immensely from his thinking. Anyway, Mebob, he used a mechanical entry technique in the S&P 500. Then even though it's a 30-year-old approach, Bob used the 8th 5-minute bar, and he bought above and he shorted below. Now, if I show you some of the things that I have uncovered with Mebob, I want to draw your attention to a philosophy when you're researching, and then this one I use is it's a critical question that I like to ask myself, and that is, okay, so you're saying that school run you need to buy above, but what if you did the opposite? What if you sold short? And I apply that to pretty much anything that I test. And frequently I'll find that whether I buy a breakout or I sell short a breakout, I could actually make money on both, which is actually an alarming statement to make. But it just goes to show how important money management actually is. And so you're seeing here that, well, if I had sold short where Mebob would have bought, well, I would have had an opportunity to at least a break-even trade. And that is something that could be said for the school run as well, aggressive school run. It's really down to the money management if you can make a strategy work, because you're rarely ever presented with an opportunity to trade the markets using a strategy that has much more than a 60% edge, 50-50 being random in my estimation. But then again, I'm not a YouTube sensation with 1.6 million followers that never flaws, and yeah, no pun intended here, but I think you get my point. I'm not trying to create a sensational environment by making outrageous claims. Rather, I'm trying to be cultivating a brutally honest atmosphere, which is why I also took issue with a gentleman earlier today who quite ferociously accused me of not trading like I do or describe in my book, Best Loser Win, which unfortunately is so far off the mark that I wish that this gentleman would actually call me and so I could explain to him why it is off the mark. It's off the mark because you read the market in that moment, and there are times when you think, yeah, I can press the accelerator, I can add to my winners here. And there's times when the market feels like it's in a range and you decide, you know what, I'm just going to take this and off I go, because I doubt very much that the market has much to offer. And whether you like it or not, and whether you think my book is gospel or not, there comes a point, no matter how much you've added, you can't add forever. You do have to take profits at some point. That's the whole purpose of trading, is to extract money from the market. So I don't want to go through too many of these, but it's just to say that in almost any case, it's rarer than the market just takes off. Of course, it does happen, but it's not that frequent. So I want to spend 2025 also trying to pass on that baton and that mindset to you. Of course, here's a really good example of where it actually did just take off. But no doubt. And by the way, if this whole idea of an 8th bar or 13th bar is alien to you, then take a look at the DeMark, who is an established legacy in the financial markets. He has his Tom DeMark. Do you know what his name is? Not his name, but sequential indicator, I think it's called, where you're counting bars. And it's not completely unlike what it is that I'm proposing. You could perhaps even say that I was inspired Tom DeMark. I'm actually, that would be a lie, I'm not. I didn't never really study Tom DeMark in earnest. In fact, read that as I never studied him at all. I met the gentleman, but wasn't overly enamored by his character. And that's probably unfair because I actually heard something really wonderful about him. I heard that everything that he makes on his, he sells this Tom sequential indicator to Bloomberg. And I've heard that every penny that he makes from Bloomberg, he gives to charity. And I think that's just absolute wonderful character trait. So I'm probably being a little bit unfair to the gentleman. I guess it was just I was young and he was, established and brash. And I probably thought, what does he know? Probably wouldn't surprise me. You mellow with age, don't you? Here's another example of Tom DeMark. So I guess my point here is that I think that there's so much more that I could provide for the trading community than just, all right, buy here, all right, sell short here, all right, great. Oh yeah, we made $1,000. Because I don't really, that's not really what I want to be remembered by, if there is such a thing as a legacy. A legacy I would perhaps like to pass on is how to look at the markets. And I've been looking at the markets pretty non-stop now for 27 years, 2 of which I shouldn't even been looking. I was actually meant to be working for JP Morgan, not as a trader, but I was still looking. Yeah, I laugh at that. And so that's my goal for 2025. And I'm an avid researcher, as you can see. I do like to research. I get a tremendous amount of joy out of uncovering things in the market. I want to talk about the psychology of performance. I think it's really important that we're also mindful of our own strengths and weaknesses. And I often bring Luke Donald into that. But there's more to Luke Donald's story than just a rise to number 1. It was also his subsequent fall out of the rankings. I don't know. I think I just went the wrong way because I wanted to show you Dave Allred. Because, well, I'll probably talk about this next year, but Dave Allred was a mental coach. And as you can see, Luke Donald credits his rise to number 1 for to his mental coach, who was Dave Allred. But after continuing to work with Dave Allred, they parted company because Luke Donald perhaps wanted to follow a different path. And within 12 months, Luke Donald wasn't even to be seen in the top 40. And I think stories like that can teach us a lot about ourselves. And what aspect that the human psyche does on us. And the belief that you will get there is absolutely paramount. You can't say, well, I'm not sure if I can improve on that. And that, I think that is what I would like to spend more time on in 2025, so that the time that we do have together are perhaps a lot more than just, all right, I like to sell short here. And I hope, and of course there will always be an element of, I like to be long, I like to be short, because I am extremely competitive when it comes to trading. But I think I have to find that hunger again, and therefore I think I've been thinking deeply about this, and I think it's right for me to step away from trading for a few weeks, enjoy Christmas. Yeah. And by the way, if you think I'm trading this turn in huge size, I'd like to show you my account. So I'll show you my account number so you know that it is a real account. But this turn in the Dow, let's say that let's just use a Fibonacci retracement, and let's just say that we got a 50% retracement of this big push. It's probably not, but then say that it was a 38% retracement. It's still a 5,000 point move. Now my goal is not necessarily to trade that in a £1,000 a point. My goal is just to build up a position using smaller size and just let it ride. And the same in the Nasdaq. Actually, I had a counter position in the FTSE here. I took a long position. So yeah, so I get a little offended when people think that I trade a demo account, which I really don't. So that's sort of the game plan. I hope that that's something that will interest you. It'd be good to see you. So school run in the Nasdaq is setting up now. Of course, I'll miss you. Sort of gotten used to being here twice a day. But I think it would also be nice to perhaps get out of each other's hair. Yeah, I know that's funny because I haven't got any hair. For those of you who are listening in, if you are interested in knowing some of the material that I have published, which is all accessible and free of charge, then you're more than welcome to reach out to me on Telegram at Tom Hougaard. That address is in the YouTube description. And I'll point you to my resource channel, which is currently, let me just see how many posts have I got in the resource channel now. I got about 65 different posts, just basically everything I've ever produced, including the first draft of the book, is available in there. I frequently get asked, where do I get the data from that I use? Well, eSignal has a historical database, as you can see here, data export, if I want that, and you can save it as a CSV. So that's one tool that I use. Perhaps it's not for everybody. It is a little bit expensive to subscribe to eSignal, but as you can see, no, you can't see that, but let me show you, for example, the FTSE. Do you see there that it says that it's delayed? I use delayed data because I get the data in real time from the broker. So there's no need for me to pay extra money for real time. Yeah, you know what? I wonder if it isn't a right time just to say my goodbyes now and wish you all the very best for the rest of the year? I think it might be. I think it might be a good time to do so. And so, whatever your religious faith is, don't be offended if I wish you a Merry Christmas, please. No offense. I know it's a Christian. Did you know that me being Danish, I'm actually pagan? And so back in the old days, that sounds a little silly, but back in the old days, very, very old days, we pagans, we used to, the Christmas hearts that you're putting on the pine trees, the Christmas tree. Well, we did that with real hearts. Yeah, it's a rather savage angle to the Danish heritage, but that's the pagans for you, those Vikings. So I think that's where the tradition of Christmas hearts are coming from. So I think many religions borrow from each other, even the brutal ones. However, I got distracted, so wherever you believe in, because it's so important to be politically correct these days, have a wonderful few weeks left of 2024. It has been a real honor to be here with you. I'm going to publish my track record for the entire year. It's not pretty. I mean, it's profit, but it's certainly not pretty. I think in 2023 I made close to £2 million. I am absolutely nowhere near that this year. So, but I'm still waiting for the data from my auditor. She's a little stressed because she says that I'm a nightmare to do audit for now that I'm doing it on YouTube. So she has to watch the YouTube. So I said, you could just follow it on Telegram as well. Anyway, don't argue with a woman that is angry with you. Just go, yes, dear, I'm sorry. I shall do better next time. Seriously though, thanks for being here. Look after yourself. Stay strong. Don't eat too much. Don't drink too much. Just look after yourself and stay blessed and stay strong. I see you next year. I hate to sound like a sobby shit, but I am today. I love you very much and I appreciate you being here. And thank you for the wonderful feedback that you're giving me and also the constructive feedback. I treasure both. All the best. Bye-bye.